Okay, hello everybody, welcome to this English edition of my Agile coaching webinar. This is content I want to share with the cloud, and this is the first presentation of this webinar, but I'm including the first 3 chapters of the webinar. So these 3 chapters in one webinar, so it will be a little bit compressed. And I'm doing it alone because when I did with the Publicum, I forgot to record the presentation. So now I'm recording for myself alone to be able to share with the people that could not attend the presentation. So I hope you enjoy this webinar. And now we are going to start. The context of this webinar is the professional Agile coach course I'm running by Clear. And as I said, this is 3 chapters in one. The topics today are coaching fundamentals and the listening. So let's go. So in this case, I want to thank everybody that is watching this video because you're dedicating precious time to try to acquire new knowledge and trying to see new perspectives on your profession. So I want to thank your time to dedicate to listen to this video, and also thank you if you decide to share it or to include someone else in our next live experience. So about the webinar. So the webinar includes always a 5-minute sound check, and the duration vary around 30 minutes, where we can create an open debate space where the people can introduce their questions and topics, and also everything related to Agile coaching. And at the closing, 5 minutes feedback. So in principle, from the start, I like to give some context to every topic that we present. So in this case, I want to make a difference between these 4 terms. Unfortunately, the coaching process has a confusing name that creates always a lot of confusion in people, and overall the market there is a lot of confusion about what is coaching, and inclusive many people think that coaching is not a good thing. So there is a lot of different conceptions. So I want to make I want to keep in the standard definitions of every topic, and I want to make the difference between training, mentoring, coaching, and counseling. In this case, the training is when you teach a specific method, how to execute it, how to reproduce it, how to implement it in your space. So it's about methods, it's about recipes, it's about fixed knowledge, and something you can teach. So the training is similar to teaching. So when you're training, you are developing skills in a specific discipline. The mentoring is more a relation between some apprentice and master in some area. Mentoring implies that the leader or the provider in this process is a high experienced person in his area, and has a wide and big experience and knowledge and skills to share with the person that received the mentoring process. And the counseling is similar to therapy. It's involved to solve conflicts from the past and to overwhelm the hard moments. From the 3, the most similar to coaching is mentoring. So mentoring is quite similar to coaching. The big difference between mentoring and coaching is that in coaching, the provider don't need to have more knowledge than the receiver. So the coach don't need to have more skills or knowledge than the coachee. Actually, in a coaching process, to have more knowledge than the coachee sometimes is a problem, because you have always the temptation to give an advice or to interrupt the thinking process of the coachee. So the coaching is a relation where the coach remains aside from the coachee. So, and then is when start to have the main confusions about coaching, because many people think, what's the purpose of having such kind of a facilitation or process or conversation? Okay, the coaching has many properties. One of the properties is that it helps the coachee to develop his best potential in his area and to expand his creativity. And that's why when someone from the outside gives the answers to the questions, you are not increasing the creativity of the person or the team. You are just giving the spoon in the mouth. So coaching, here we have another perspective where we can see that the coaching is about the future and therapy and counseling is about the past. And we can see that the coaching is more based on asking questions and based on clients' knowledge and experience, and the other disciplines, mentoring, advising, consulting especially. Consulting is not a coaching. It's based on the provider knowledge and experience. So then he tells the other person what to do. That's a big difference. So in a coaching process, we have a coach and a coachee. The main activity of the coach is to listen, and the second activity is to make specific questions that can help the coachee to explore different perspectives. And here we have the standard definition of coaching in the International Coach Federation. That's an organization that dedicates to create standards and ethic code in the coaching discipline. So, highly recommended. So, in the first part of this webinar, we did an exercise. Right now, I cannot do it with you, of course, because I'm alone and this is a parallel record. But I will tell you what this was about, and you can reproduce with your teams when you want. So this game that we can play consists in that each person will take a printer page, something that is not useful because we are going to cause several harm to it, and take it with one hand from the corner, right up, extend to the front carefully, okay, and close your eyes. The person must keep the eyes closed all the time. Then we can start the game. It's a simple game I create starting from some ideas that I read sometime. So these are the instructions. While the people keep the eyes closed, they must perform this task to the paper. Then they must fold the paper in half, turn it 90 degrees to the right, cut the corner in the upright, fold the paper in half, turn it over, cut the corner in the top left, cut a little bite from downside, fold the paper in half, cut a little bite from the left side, and we are finished. Then exactly we can have as every experience that will have a result, and the result is the next one. Let me search because I have this over here. Yes, exactly here. Yeah, there you are. So this was the experience with Lucas, Fernando, and Armand in the Spanish version of this webinar. So thank you, Lucas, Fernando, and Armand, for playing this game with me. And what we can see here is that 3 different persons follow the instructions in this game, and at the end, the 3 pages show a different pattern. So Lucas' page show a big hole in the center, Fernando's page show no holes on the page, but some bytes on the sides, on the limits. And Armand page show more than one hole in the page. That's very interesting. Yeah, three holes in total. Great experience. So let's go back to the presentation, and then we can see, okay, what happened here? What did happen here? So 3 different persons have had 3 different results with so simple indications, and the instructions seems to be quite informative, quite precise, quite well written. It talks about 90 degrees, top upright. It's quite precise information. But the problem is that we have some kind of distortion. Okay, we can experience distortion in communication, and I like to graph it this way. So suppose that we have 4 levels of distortion. In reality, we have more than 15, but for this presentation, we will suppose that we have 4 levels of distortion. Here, the red person is talking to the blue person, and I like to represent here from 1 to 4. 1 is what the red person is thinking. The 2 is what red person is saying. The 3 is what blue person is listening. And the 4th is what blue person is understanding. So then we can see that the distortion is increasing in each level rises at the level of really becomes very hard to communicate. Why is that? So in principle, we have 3 levels of listening. Level 1 is internal listening, where we interpret what the other says in our own mind model. The level 2 focus on listening, and not only listening and interpreting, but also adding empathy or understanding the other person's feelings and experience. And the 3rd level, that is the higher level of listening, and this is the listening level that the coach must have, is when you include all before plus watch other factors like body language, other kind of non-verbal communication that can you connect with the experience of the person. So the coach need to be open to the higher level of listening, and the coach need to catch everything from the coachee. So need to have full attention, not borrowed attention. So yes, we talk about distortion. Distortion is happening all the time. All the time there is gaps in between what one say and other people understand. The communication is never clean. So the coach must constantly check if there is gaps, and when the coach detects these gaps, must try to remove them through verification, inquiry, and paraphrase. So this is very important. Why we fall, later we will discuss about paraphrase, but why is happened that the coach can have a distortion about what the coach is saying? Okay. For one example is rapid thinking. Rapid thinking is some kind of jumping to conclusion fast, and then it's very understandable that you will fall into this conclusion with your own model, with your prejudge, and a lot of conditions that you have in your mind model. Then every rapid thinking will be an automatic, or automatic thinking will be produced by your model and not what the coach is trying to say. Laziness, just when you are tired or just lost concentration, is quite, you cannot run a coaching process. There is cultural barriers, of course, language. As you can hear, English is not my language. And assumptions. Assumptions are quite dangerous and natural, so they arrive all the time. All this kind of thing creates this distortion in communication. So now we can start to think how many times conflicts are produced for miscommunication or communication problems. A lot of times. How many times teams cannot reach their best performance because they cannot have a straight direct communication. Communication is always a challenge. So is it so big? Is it so important, this distortion? So let's take a look on our limitations on how we perceive the world. So I know this comparison is not completely right, but it's useful to understand that we have limits perceiving the reality. For example, this imagine is this imagine all lines are parallels, but we cannot look them like parallels. They look like curves or malformed lines, and these lines are perfect. Actually, you can check with the paper in the screen, and you will see that they are perfect. But we cannot see that because of physical limitation of our optical capacity and how mind processes the information. So these are examples that we cannot see direct reality. We see reality malformed. And for example, this image is static, it's not moving. But for our eyes, it looks like moving. Okay, so this is happening constantly. Then, what's the first challenge for a good coach? A good coach needs to remain skeptic for everything that he see, listen, or understand. So always skeptic and always verifying and always checking that what he caught was the right interpretation. So let's do another dynamic. So where one of my targets in these webinars are to keep everything to learn from the experience. So to make some experiments. Good. Then I'm going to show you this picture. This picture is well known in the internet, but I think if you don't know it, you will find it amazing. This is a visual effect. You should keep the eyes focused on the middle, and the faces on the left and right side will be changing to different faces, but you must keep the eyes focused on this point, in the middle point, and take your attention to the faces and pay attention how you see the faces. If these faces are perfect or are different. So let's run it for a moment. Remember to keep the eyes on the middle point, and pay attention on the faces. Okay, now let's start. I will maximize this for you to be able to watch it. Okay, now we'll start the exercise. Without moving the eyes on the middle, pay attention to the faces. Good. What happened here? So our eyes don't look like we believe. they don't look the world like we believe. They really make average of images. They really guess what we are watching. They only focus on the central point, and what is around is just an average or a guess of image. They really don't care about so much details on that area. But we are not talking about optics in this webinar. We're talking about how we perceive reality. And that's demonstrate that we have limitations. That's what we want to demonstrate with this exercise, that we have limitations on perceiving reality. That's why the coach must remain always skeptic and always verifying what he is perceiving. We also talk about opinions. So in this picture, for example, two persons are arguing about if that object is a 6 or 9. In this case, for example, this person holding their personal opinion about the object and looks like they are a little bit mad and they are having a strong conflict. But what's the problem here? The problem is communication. So it's about what means to be a 9 or to be a 6. No, the communication is right. And then what's failing here? Some of them is false. No, both are right. Both has right, and they are both right about what they see and what they say. The main problem here is the point of view. The point of view, the subjectivism, could be always a problem. The only way to be objective is to collect data, to have formal studies, or to make group consents, to have a debate where many people from different perspectives can bring a perception of reality. So this is an example where communication can be a problem. So what can we do as coaches? Well, the main thing is prepare beforehand. So before coaching session, you need to be clean, rest. You need to wipe out your mind and make it clean from every worry, every problem that you have in every day. You need to really space out your mind to be able to receive and to have more objectivity. Don't try to pick up everything. We are not a recording machine. Try to follow the logic and try to catch the meanings. Learn to create good notes. The good notes are mostly based on meanings, not in sentences or amount of notes. To have 10 pages of notes is not useful, but there are some meanings that you can collect from the coachee, and those can be tools to build new questions for the next step. We need to resist mental distractions. Be aware of non-verbal cues. We need to be totally aware of body language. But also we need to stay skeptic of this body language because it's also an interpretation. Coach the person and not the issue. This is a big point. So the coach in a real coaching process is coaching a person or a team, it depends on the case, but not issues. When you need to step into the issue, or you need to provide a solution, and you need to participate on the solution creation process, then you need to abandon the coach role, and you need to make it visible. So to tell the people, okay, now I'm abandoning my coach role and now I'm becoming a consultant or your advisor or your mentor or whatever. Good. Then keep going. We are almost ending. So what is paraphrase? Paraphrase is to reformat an idea in different words. This is very useful to double check that we really understood what the other person is trying to say. And many times it's very useful to ask the coachee to explain something in his own words, not in our words. Then for one side, we can understand how the coachee used the words for which meaning, and we can understand if we really catch the meaning that what the coachee tries to mean. So if that's our typical structures for paraphrase, and it's like a double checking that we really understood what the coach is trying to say. Good. Then, of course, there's no one here. I will not receive your feedback, but I'm quite open to receive your feedback to this video. You can leave it as a comment, or you can write me an email, or whatever. You can contact me on LinkedIn, Daniel Ceillan, and Sing, or Facebook, or what is better for you. Totally welcome the feedback. What did you like about this webinar? What we can do better? I focus always on two main things. One thing is to provide value to the people, not only to show some topics, but to really give tools to the people to work on. And the other is to make it experimental, so to make it an experience. So you can, in the webinar, make one experience from your own and take some experimental case for yourself, so to learn from your experience. That's very important. Learning by doing, not learning by listening or learning by reading, but really living the ideas. I want to make the ideas live. So thank you again very much for watching this video, and I want to invite you to the next webinar. I will try to keep always interesting tools and games inside the webinar. And that is next Tuesday, same time. The version in English is every Tuesday on 17 hours UTC. That's UTC is the central time, so you need to translate to your time, to your country time. And you can contact me, and I will send you a link to connect to this webinar. So now, next topic is about bridges or breaks, conversation and coaching. How we can design the coaching conversation. We are going to talk about coaching conversation design, and we're going to talk about breaks and transparency. That's a very amazing topic. So, and if someone wants to be a coachee, I will be providing some free coaching sessions. So you are everybody welcome. Thanks for the people that were on the webinar. Unfortunately, I forgot to record that time. But anyway, thank you for joining and providing your valuable feedback and input. And I hope to see you soon and keep in contact and be happy and coach. Have a nice day, have a nice week, whatever you have there, and see you next time. Bye bye.